This is Jim Prange, host of the Law, Litigation, and Lies podcast. I'm very privileged today to have with me a friend whose name is Shakti Chauhan. He is with us to spend a good amount of time today to review things really personal to himself, background information, things that he is diligently working on, and how he sees himself progressing, which is an extremely impressive format that I think we're going to hear about today, as spoken by Shakti. I would say, first of all, I'd like to ask you where from whence you come. I mean, I know the country that you started out at, but maybe give us a little bit of background, where you're from, where you grew up, how you evolved through your educational process, and then we'll get into more subjects from there.
Okay, all right. So I was born in Bangalore, India. It's a part of South India. And my father arrived by train the day I was born. And my uncle shouted at him from the railway station, "It's a boy! It's a boy!" And that was the day I was born. And after that, I grew up in Delhi, which is the capital of India, New Delhi. Up until the age of 11. I was at home. My mother and father were very, very loving. I had a beautiful childhood, nothing to complain about there. There were some anchors, though, which were set in my childhood. I think things like, I don't know why, Jim, but I always was entitled. Since I was a young boy, I just felt entitled to a lot of things. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to experience expensive things. So whenever someone told me that, you can't have that or you can't do that, I didn't like it one bit. So there was specifically this one time, I remember a friend of mine was going to America for a holiday. And I asked my father, can we go to, like, when are we going to go to America for a holiday? And my father said, I don't think we will go to America for a holiday and I said, why? And he said, because it's very expensive and I don't think we can afford it. So I said, well, okay, well, this year, can we save money and make money and then go to America next year? And he said, I don't think so. And I said, why? And he said that because, we don't make that kind of money. And your friend who's going, he's just a different, he's at a different level than what we are. And I said, then when are we going to America for a holiday? And he said, I guess you have to grow up, make money, and then take all of us to America. So that's what I did. I grew up, I made money, and I came to America. Sitting in Miami right now.
So that had been a driving ambition from an early age, really, to get to America, to come here and experience it.
Absolutely. I wanted to come to America. I wanted to go to London. I wanted to go to all the beautiful places. I wanted to wear expensive clothes. I wanted to, experience luxury, everything. I didn't want to hear a no ever. That was me from a very, very young age.
How did you have familiarity with America or with London or any other top-notch areas that you envision wanting to do?
Films. Films was my greatest passion since I was very young. In fact, when I turned a little bit older, 15 or 16, I got my first taste of acting. I participated in a play, fell in love with it. Unfortunately, I was not able to pursue it, which I still think about it until today. I still think about, giving up everything and going to acting sometimes when times are difficult. But yeah, I've concluded last year, I concluded that me living as an actor would be a limited life for the kind of being that I want to become, for the kind of ambition that I have for my life. Just being an actor would not fulfill me. So I concluded that, and I now am focusing on getting into business, getting into solving problems, and also spreading the message of being limitless. So my podcast, my YouTube channel will be centered around the idea called infinity, which means that we are all infinity. We are limitless. We have limitless potential. And I want to help people, specifically young men, to make something of their lives, to believe that they can do anything, and that really, really our potential is limitless. So that's what I'm about.
Excellent. I wanted to ask you, when you were going through these formative years, you were in India till you were 11. Where did you go after being in New Delhi? Let's say during your teenage years.
Well, after I turned 12, or I think it was when I was 11, I was transported to a planet called Mayo College, which was a boarding school, and that was different from India, America, and it was a world of its own.
How many years were you in boarding school, Shakti?
I was from 11 until 17. I was in boarding school.
Wow.
Yeah, and I came back home twice a year, and my parents came to visit me a couple of times a year. Um, but my father, as from at age 13, we discovered that my father had lung cancer, and that he was going to die within the next 12 months or so, and that was particularly difficult to deal with. And he actually lived for 5 more years after that. So he actually passed when I was about 16. I was almost 16. I was running my 16th year, and yeah, we had to spend a lot of money for his treatment. That was difficult. That was another major anchor set for ambition for me, because there were times when my mother would tell me to to be careful about switching off the AC when I'm not using it, or switching off the lights when I'm not using it, and little things like that. And I was like, I just wish I had more money. I just wish we didn't have to think about all of this. And there was one particular time which I discovered quite later on in my life. I did an exercise at a seminar, and this incident came back to me. There was one time when my mother was scolding my younger brother. My younger brother must have been, I think, 6, and I was about 10 or 11. And no, my younger brother must have been 8, and I was about 13. I'd come back from school for holidays, and she was telling him, these are the what you're eating. I said, why are you scolding him? And she said, he's eating the cream biscuits, and I've told him we cannot afford cream biscuits. So uh, we cannot afford to eat cream biscuits every day. So when some guests come or something, we can open a packet and then you can have the cream biscuits. But he's supposed to eat the normal biscuits when, we are living through our day. And I was like, I remember being so enraged. I looked at this child that just wanted cream biscuits, and I was like, I don't care if we don't have money. I don't care if we don't get treatment for our father. If this kid wants a cream biscuit, this is not the way we're going to save or live. I was so enraged and frustrated. And from that point on, I started actually saving. And I had a piggy bank of my own, and just whenever I got money from anyone, any relative, anytime my mother gave me a money for a film or something, I wouldn't go watch that film. I would just save the money. And I told my brother, if you ever need anything, just don't tell mom, and just come to me and I'll give it to you. And my experience was that when things really got difficult, I kind of went numb. I didn't feel any worse. I didn't feel any, like, I was just numb. Like I just figured, like, this is how life is. It's just difficult and you just deal with it.
Yes.
And fortunately, I never compared myself. I never ever remember asking myself the question, like, why me? Or why do we have to struggle with money and the other people don't have to? Or fortunately, I never asked that. I just kept on trying to look for ways like, how can I change this? How can I make money? How can I remember starting some small, trying to start like a small CD rental thing with my brother, to make some extra money and, things like that. So yeah, and then again, saving the money and maintaining that piggy bank to do things for myself, to have that kind of power. Like if I want something, I never ever bought anything. I just saved.
Yeah.
But I really felt the power. Like if I really wanted something, I have my bank and I can go get it. And even till now, when I was young, I thought that when I make all the money, I'll go buy like a Lamborghini or something. And today I can buy like 4 Lamborghinis, but I just don't. It's just knowing that I could do it, that gives me satisfaction. I don't necessarily, if I'm on a holiday, I'll rent a Lamborghini, and I'll drive around in a Ferrari just to feel it and just to experience it. But I have no desire to buy cars or a lot of the things that really will not fulfill you.
So we go from about 17 now.
Right.
You're wrapping up in boarding school. You had some issues that came up in the mid 20s, which we'll come back to.
Right.
Where do we go from 17, 18, 19, 20?
All right. So I was very confused, Jim, on what I wanted to do. I was just clear about one thing. I wanted to make money and I didn't care how. So, but my scale at that time was pretty low. So I thought if I could make like $2,000 a month, that would be just awesome. Like that would be so great. I thought, I remember saying to my mother, and that if I make, so my mother suggested that I become a pilot. One of my family friends was a commercial pilot, and my mom said he could connect us to some good flight schools, and your training will be done in like a year, so you don't have to go to university like 5 years. For 5 years, like other people, you'd be making money right out of school pretty much, like 1 or 2 years from now. And that sounded very exciting to me. The second exciting part was the flight training was in America. So I was like, this is great, man. I'm going to America, I'll fly planes, and I'll make $2,000 a month. And it was a great proposition. So I never was excited about flying or passionate about aviation, but I decided to become a pilot. And I remember telling my mother that they're going to pay me $2,000 a month. What am I going to do with so much money? I think I'm just going to save like 95% of it, and 5% of it, I will just buy you guys some things with it or something and spend a little bit of money on transportation or something like that.
Right.
And now I have, uh, now I pay so many people. I pay out of my payroll is more than, 5 times that. And it's really amazing how perspectives change. Um, yeah, so I went to America. I came to America as planned. I came to Arizona first. Then there was a problem at that flight school. Then I moved to Palm Springs, California, which is where I did most of my training. The last leg of my training I did from Florida because my aunt was here and I wanted to spend some time with her and my sister. So I came, stayed with them, did my last leg in Orlando, got my license. It took me a little bit longer. It took me about 2.5 years. We had anticipated a year, but that was it. And I was a commercial pilot. I got back to India, got my license, and I was expecting to get hired. And I didn't get hired. And a lot of the pilots that I spoke to, I was like, what's happening? There's not enough jobs. And well, the pilot said, well, this is just how the industry is. You do your training and then you might have to wait around sometimes for a few years before you get employed. But once you get employed, then it never stops. It's like a hard door to get into, but once you're in, you're in. So I said, well, okay. I did some waiting around for about 6 months or so. And I started drinking at the time, just out of boredom. And I started playing poker with my friends. So I would hang out with my friends. I was dating a girl. I would hang out with her. And just I would drink and play poker and drink and play poker. And that was it. And eventually I was starting to get sick of it. I'd started to put on weight because of my drinking. And I didn't like the way I look or the way I felt. And that was the time when I had my first attempt at quitting drinking. So I stopped drinking one day, started working out, started going to the gym. That was amazing. And tried to focus on playing poker. Uh,
And was your game of choice generally Texas Hold'em?
yes, we did start off with Texas Hold'em. At the time, I had learned to play poker in America, and it's an interesting story. So what happened was, so we're training to become pilots, right? We're a group of four guys living in beautiful apartment in Palm Springs on the golf course. It was like a dream. A friend of mine came from a rich family. He had a Ford Mustang, which is a convertible Ford Mustang, and we don't have convertible cars in India. So a convertible car for me was like a race car. It's like a lap, we
Yep.
didn't understand that a convertible car is just another car without a roof. I mean, we thought it was like a Ferrari or something.
Right.
And I had a great time, roaming around in that convertible and living in that apartment. So one day I was passing by and a friend of mine was watching TV, and on the TV there was a show called World Series of Poker, and
Mhm.
it was the final table, and the first prize was something like $6 million, something like that. And I was like, this must have been 2009. And I looked at my friend and I was like, what is this? And he said, it's a game called poker. And I said, but these guys are playing for so much money. They're like kids. They're like 21, 22-year-old kids. He said, well, yeah, this is the final table. They had to compete with thousands of guys to get here. But I said, this guy, whoever wins this is going to get $6 million, really? And he said, well, yeah, that's how a tournament works. And I said, this is insane. How did this 21-year-old kid, he said, can I learn this game? He said, yeah, I can teach you. I said, if I get good at this game, I could win $6 million. He said, well, yeah, you could possibly. I mean, all tournaments are not as big as these, but yeah, you can make money playing poker. And I said, this is so fascinating. And then that evening, he taught me the basic rules, and that I just got hooked on poker. I started playing on Facebook for free, like for free money. And then I went to a casino. I almost always lost. But the beautiful thing about poker is no matter how bad you are, you don't lose all the time. Sometimes you get lucky and you win.
Mhm.
So what happens is you think you're winning because you did something right. Actually, you're playing horrible, which you only understand years later how bad you were. But at the time, you feel like you did something right. And then you do one more thing right. And then you do one more. So every month you get better. Every week you get better. And as you get better, you look back and you realize how bad you were, a year ago or 6 months ago. But you now know that now you are better. So there is hope to keep on getting better. And one day you'll win, So that journey for me took a few years. I basically would run out of all my money. I would lose all my money playing poker. And so then I would ask the organizer of the game. I said, okay, how can I help you? Can I work here? Can I do something to make money? And he would say, if you can bring me players, then I could, so he would give me like $50, something like that,
Mhm.
to bring him a player. So what I did was I started calling up all the people that I knew that played poker and started bringing those people to him. Then I went on Facebook and found more people on Facebook that wanted to play poker. And then I started bringing them to him. And every time I would get a commission from him, I would use that money to then play and
Right.
then lose it. Right.
Now we're reaching a point where you're bringing people to the game. You're getting the $50 per person. You're
Yeah.
reinvesting it in the game.
Yeah.
But at some point, you took a substantial loss, let's say around 24, 25 years old. Was that from poker? Was that from some other situation that caused you to have a substantial financial decline?
Yeah. So let me fast forward what happened over the next few years. So what happened is I got into the habit of just looking for more and more players to add to this guy's game in order to get the commission so I could play. So after the process of about 3-4 months of doing this, I now had hundreds of people
Wow.
that were messaging and calling me every day, like, where's the game? Where's the game? So I realized that I could just host my own game. And that is how I got into organizing games. So I did it in casinos sometimes, I did it outside of casinos sometimes. And I would just get people together and I would play. And then for the first few years, what happened was that I was making money from organizing the games, but I
Mhm.
was really bad. So whatever money I made, I would just lose it in the game, which was in a way good. Everyone liked me because I was just losing all the time. So everyone was great friends with me, you know. So,
Let's get him in the game.
and
Right, yeah.
right, right. So everyone wanted to come and play at my game because, I was just this guy who would lose money. And I was always a great host. I would talk to everyone. I was friends. I was always good with people. So,
Mhm.
uh, eh, you know, I had about 700-800 people on my phone that wanted to play poker, and all of these people like considered me their best friend. Like I was the best friend of every guy, uh, and that's because I took genuine interest in them. I genuinely tried to help them with whatever I knew about. I was not the worst player on the table. Definitely there were people that were worse than me, but there were people that were better than me, and I would always just lose money to players that were better than me. And um, and yeah, so I started organizing events, and then the game started getting bigger and bigger, and I was just losing all the while. And then there was one particular event that I did, in which I had some of the biggest players of Asia at the time. And I did this event. We organized two tables games, and I started losing money. And then I lost almost all of my money. And
Which was a
yeah, I remember I had a,
it
yeah,
was
this,
a
I'll
very
get to the
substantial
figures.
amount, wasn't it? Like a
Yes, I'll right. So I'll get to the figures. So basically, my bankroll at the time, as they would say, was about $300,000.
right?
Right. So I there was a point when I lose all of that. So I lost about 300,000, and my partner, at the time, he he was winning. So he told me, "Don't worry about it. I will cover for your loss for now with my winnings, and then we'll just figure it out later." And I said, "Okay." So in gambling, we do that. Like friends cover for each other, and they help each other out in bad times. That's how you build relationships and you're able to survive. So he said that, but before the event was over, he lost all his winnings, and then a couple of people that we really trusted and we trusted them to pay us didn't pay us. So by the end of this event, we lost. I mean, we had, as a company, we had lost about, we owed people about what, north of $1 million.
Did you did you feel that over time through gambling that you would be able to pull yourself out of this, even though you had suffered such a significant loss?
Yes, somehow, Jim, I don't know what it is, but like I said, I was always entitled to great things. I always respected my word for some reason. I don't know why. I've seen so many people that I respected so much in the world of gambling, that was so strong, so influential, so intelligent. But when push came to shove, they broke their word. And somehow, for me, breaking my word was just, it was not acceptable to me. So, uh, in fact, my partner, I remember one particular time, he was so frustrated that he started crying, and he told me, like, how can you sleep at night? How can you sleep at night? We owe so much money. And I had just, we had a fight about, I had just gone out drinking. I had a problem with drinking. I would drink a lot. And I had just come back from getting sloshed one night, and I was just drunk. And he was like, "How can you go out partying and drinking, and how can you sleep at night?" You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I can sleep at night because I know I will pay the money back. I will pay everyone every single dollar that I owe, including you. I will pay everybody. I will, I will, I will find a way to pay everyone. I just know that. It might take some time, and I will pay them interest for that time.
So,
And some of my friends didn't charge me interest. I offered to pay them, but they were just nice, and they just told me, that we don't need any interest from you, and that was nice. and I repaid them in other ways. I did them favors. I repaid everyone in other ways. But that was my thing, that as long as I knew that I was not going to break my word, I didn't feel ashamed. I never not so in gambling, when you owe money, a lot of the times people don't want to take calls. Like if I never did that. Anyone that I owed, if they called me, I always took their call. I apologized for the delays, and I just told them that I just need some time, I'm working on it. And they saw me working hard and working on it, and they saw that I faced defaults, and they saw that I lost. And I guess people were just nice. Nobody ever came to my throat, or like, where is my money, like none of that.
Mhm.
It's everyone just kept following up, and some people I delayed, some people I paid on time, but eventually I paid everyone
So
off.
with this significant loss that was taking place, and it was spiraling on a continuing basis down till you were like in your mid-20s, 25. How did you turn
Right.
your game around to be able to recover that amount? And I believe it was in a relatively short period of time, and then also start profiting once you got out of the hole.
Well, I did a couple of things, Jim. So I stopped drinking at one point. I really realized that drinking was one of my big major leaks. Um, I was putting on. So in poker, you have to be in top shape, physically even, because if you're drinking and eating crappy food, your mind is not right, and you can't play, you can't perform in high pressure situations. I got a mental coach, mental game coach. So in the world of poker, it's called a mental game coach, which is basically another word for like a therapist, but in the domain of poker. So he specifically addresses um, issues that you are going through while being in high pressure situations, and how to deal with those. So I got that guy. He was one of the best in the world, still is. His name is Elliot Rowe. And after talking to him, I decided I needed to stop drinking. And I read Alan Carr's book, which is like magic. It's an author called Alan Carr. His books are called The Easy Way. And I read those books, and I quit drinking, quit smoking, started working out again, and that helped a lot with my performance in the game. Second adjustment that I made is I realized that there were a lot of players in the game that were worse than me, but the problem was there were a lot of them that were better than me. So I started removing the players that were better than me from the circuit, and that was the absolute game changer. I mean, when you think back on it, it seems like such an obvious and easy thing to do. But the thing is, when you play poker, you don't want to admit that this guy is better than you, right? You're like, oh my, so what if he's better than me? I'm still going to beat him, right? That's what you try to do. But
Right.
it's like banging your head against the wall. And if he's better, he's just better. Either you have to really study the game and get better, which is not an easy thing to do, or the easier thing would be to just remove him from the game. In my case, because I was organizing the games, the really easy adjustment for me was just to remove the better guy from the game,
That was pretty
So
perceptive. I believe that to be pretty perceptive, Shakti, to do that. That you recognize that, wait a minute, this is an important ingredient that's going to be personally beneficial to you. So you,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And the difficult part was that some of these guys were my friends. Some of them were my really close friends. So, and these guys are professional poker players. So it's kind of like you're firing one of your best friend, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, and the guy would call you and be like, bro, like, this is my income. Why are you throwing me out of the game?
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't have a answer. Uh, it was just straight. I was like, I'm struggling, man. I owe money. I'm struggling, and I need to set up good games in which I can win.
Where
And
where were you living during this particular time?
so I played and organized games all around the world, but it would I don't think it's wise for me to uh, reveal the locations of the games and the details of that. I think I might have spoken too much, even in terms of figures and such. But yeah, but I will say that I organized games all around the world. Some of them were inside a casino, some of them were outside, and yeah. Some of them were legal, I guess, and some of them were not. So I wouldn't be able to reveal details, but yeah, but I truly did organize games all over the world. I would travel from one city to another city, basically chasing rich people that I know. So rich people, Jim, I'm sure you know from your social circle, they don't stay at one place. They keep moving based on the weather, based on where the action is, based on where sporting events are, based on. So I used to organize a game in London in the summer. I can say that because that, like, to organize a game in London is not illegal. So I used to have a game in London during the summer. All my rich friends would be in London for the summer. So I would organize a game there. And then I would organize a game in India sometimes in a casino. And then I would organize a game in another city and in Cyprus. Um, so yeah, wherever the action was, wherever the rich guys were, I would just facilitate my game there and make it accessible for my friends to come and participate in the game.
Sounds like you did a terrific job of developing and maintaining a social network to be able to communicate and know where people were all these different times, to be able to coordinate these, let's call them higher stakes games.
Yes, I did. And that came very naturally to me, Jim. It was, and a lot of people helped me along the way, I must say. Some of these guys, they really had no incentive in helping me. They introduced me to other people many times. And there's a very important point that I want to iterate here. My experience has been that people are so nice, Jim. If you just go and ask, oftentimes we don't go and ask. And what you don't ask, you don't get. So
Right.
I remember this particular time I went to a guy's house and he was a part of a social circle. He knew almost all the players. And this guy is a billionaire, right? He's got properties well over $1 billion. He's got, other businesses and all that. And I had met him once in a poker game. And I had just told him what a nice watch you have. And he quietly told me, like, I recently bought it at an auction for $2 million. And I said, that's just amazing. And his watch was a Richard Mille. So I don't know if you know the brand Richard Mille. So Richard Mille is a brand that has limited watches. So why the watches are so expensive is, so Richard Mille is a guy that will make a watch, but he will only make, let's say, 12 of those, or 80 of those, or 200 of those. So each watch has a number. It will say 1 of 200, 7 of 200,
Right.
like that. And his watch that he had was 1 of 1, which meant it was a unique piece.
Right.
That was the only one of a kind watch in the world. There was no other watch like that. And it was a very expensive watch. And I had spoken to him, about his watch, and I was admiring his style, and he had panache, and his way of being was just so exquisite that I had just introduced myself and said hi. And then one day I went back to that city where he was, and I just gave him a call. And he said hello, and I said hello, and he didn't remember me. And then I reminded him that I met you at this game, and we spoke about the watch. And he said, "Oh yes, how are you?" And I said, "I'm great. I just wanted to come and meet you." And he said, "Sure, come over for lunch." And I just went to his house, and he said, "Yeah, why did you want to meet me?" Well, I said, and this house, by the way, his house was like a palace. It was better than any hotel that I had been to. It was like Four Seasons hotel in front of this house was like an embarrassment. It was so beautiful, his house.
Yes.
The food at his house was better than any restaurant food that I had ever had. It was just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at this guy and I said, I want to organize poker games. And I used to organize, I was just honest with him. I said, I organize smaller games in India, and I'm here now, and I will work honestly, and I will work hard, and I will make sure I pay everyone on time. And I would like you to support me if you can in my game. And I just went and asked for it. And I remember my partner was so baffled that I did this. And this guy said, absolutely, I'll support you, and I'll introduce you to everyone. And I actually went there to ask him to be my partner or something. I said, well, I'll give you a piece from the game. Let's be partners 50-50. And he said, I'm not a poker game organizer, so I don't need to do that, but I'll help you anyway. So he basically just rejected the share and just helped me anyway. And so this guy didn't have to help me, but just because I asked nicely, he did. And a lot of the times we hesitate and we don't take that step. And if we would, you'd be surprised how many people would help you.
Well, I think you're identifying a fabulous point, Shakti. And I believe that the majority of folks, there's an inhibitedness, there's a shyness, there's a lack of desire to go outright and just ask, because so many people, I believe, would say, yeah, but what if I get rejected? Instead of just asking, as what you just did.
So I came from a middle-class family, right? I struggled with the most basic things. Like I couldn't buy an Apple laptop or like a nice phone that I wanted. And my friends had seen me grow up. And then suddenly in my 20s, I made a lot of money in poker and all, in other things as well. Like right now I make money from investing, from so many things. And you'd think that my older friends would come to me and ask me like, hey man, how did you do it? Can you teach me, or can you show me, or, can I work with you? Can you help? And do you know how many people came to me in the last 11 years? One. Yeah. And this one guy came to me. He said, I'm just broke. I have no money, and I'll do anything you say. And I would just like to make money. And please, can you teach me? And I would help you. I'll work for you for free, whatever you like. And he was a friend of my brother's. And I said, sure, just start coming with me to the games, and I'll teach you what I know. And then he became kind of my assistant. And then he became like my manager, and he started managing all of my operations. Within 6 months, he was making, I think, like $10,000 a month, something like that, which was just amazing for him. His whole life changed. And now he has his own gambling operation, and he does things on his own now. And yeah, like it's just because he came to me. And this guy, I didn't know him. He was not my friend. I had never met him, nothing. But he just came and he asked and he offered, and I showed him. There were so many people, like so many friends of mine that were actual real friends of mine, that I would, do so much for them, but nobody ever asked.
So poker was really your principal, I'm going to use the term occupation, throughout, I'm going to say, most of your 20s. And at some particular point, probably because you started having money, you got rid of the outstanding debt, you started making money now on the positive side, and somewhere you mentally transitioned where you want to get into some other areas. So some of those other areas could be, as you indicated, Shakti, investments or other businesses or such. How did you, what caused you to all of a sudden take a increased burden upon yourself to want to expand yourself from just being a gambler?
It was scalability, Jim. The problem with poker is that you can keep going up in stakes, but there is a ceiling. So now I have played in some of the biggest games in the world. And as the stakes go up, the games become more and more difficult. So every year for the last 11 years, I was trying to take my bankroll. So let's say I had $100,000. I was trying to every year to get to 200 or 300,000 through gambling, through organizing events and all that. So I would try to go 2x, 3x, every year. And some years I did, some years I didn't. Some years I went broke, and some years I went 10x, But now at the point at which I am now, for me to now go 3x, 4x, or 10x, I would have to go play in the biggest games in the world, play against the best players in the world, which I don't think I'm good enough to beat them. And also I'm putting myself at a risk of losing all my money, if things go bad. So I guess the problem is scalability. It's not up to a point you can scale poker, but after a point it's hard to. So let me put it this way. It's my goal, my next short-term goal is to make $100 million, right? it would be much easier for me to make $100 million through business than to make $100 million through poker, because there is not that many billionaires that play poker that you can go play with. There's very few billionaires that play at that level, and then other people that play at that level are some of the best people in the world. So and honestly, I also got bored of poker. Like I it's not exciting to me anymore. I don't like the swings. um I did so much of it that I've gotten pretty bored of this. Business interests me more. um Talking to you right now interests me more. So right now I'm paying coaches, various business coaches, to teach me things like marketing, things like lead generation, things like public speaking, communication, things like raising money, things like acquiring an existing business. What do you want to look at a business before acquiring a business? So skills like that. So I'm spending maybe $100,000 a year just trying to learn these skills, through mastermind groups, through seminars, through direct coaching, one-on-one coaching whenever I can get that. And I want to spend the next few years. I'm fortunate enough to have enough money. So I calculated, if I maintain my current lifestyle, which is a lavish lifestyle, I don't hold back, as you can imagine, from how I wanted to live, as since I was a child. I
Right.
really don't hold back. So even in my present lifestyle, which is lavish, my money would last me about 15 years if I don't work for 15 years.
If you just
So
stop.
yeah, if I just stop, don't make any money, I could still live for about 12 to 15 years.
Right.
And I haven't stopped working. I still make money. So I think my money would last me about 20 years. So I have decided to take the next 5-7 years to train in the various aspects of business, and start taking shots at businesses. And I realized I might fail at first, but maybe not, because I learned a lot of important, valuable lessons through poker, through organizing events. And I'm hiring some of the best coaches in the world to understand how to execute on projects. So I have multiple projects starting now. I'm going to start recruiting a team this month, and I will start building businesses. That's what I will do for the next 10 years or so.
I noticed that you actually had a couple of ads or an ad out looking for, let's use the term content workers, creators, things to be part of your team to help towards those goals, if you will, as you're outlining. Did this desire to transition, and the key word is scalability. I like how you use that. Did that strike you quite a number of years ago that, hey, I can only go so far in this game of poker, and if I want to maximize my dollar accumulation, I need to do some other ways to get there? Or is this more of a recent phenomenon?
So Jim, I didn't think about it. I was kind of so since the time until I was drinking alcohol, I couldn't even think clearly. I was not thinking about the macro of what I'm doing, why am I doing it. It was just like work, and then drink, and then work, and then drink.
Right.
That's a lot of people in the world, and that's a tragedy. But that's another topic.
Right.
So I wasn't broke that much long ago. I think this was about 4.5 years ago that I was able to climb out of my debt, and I was broke again. But again, like, I don't want to make it sound like 4 years ago I was broke and now now I'm successful. So well, even when I was broke, I was not just another guy who was broke. I had gone through a lot of ups and downs, experiences. I understood a lot of things which normally a guy that is broke doesn't understand. So I had started hustling and going after my goals like right from the age of 20. So even when I was broke at the age of 25, 26, I was a pretty experienced broke guy, which makes the difference. So once I climbed out of debt and I started making money. First, I made the money, I started traveling, I started enjoying the money. But then I started thinking about what else. And that's when I started reading to find out answers. Also, after I read Alan Carr's Easy Way books, I realized if this guy with his book could help me quit smoking and drinking, I bet I could learn anything from reading books. I could learn how to start a business. I could learn um, how to market. I could learn anything. I could learn how to get fit. I could learn how to eat right, and so many things. So I started reading books, and one of the books that I read was called Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
Yep.
And in the book, he makes you do exercises, and he says, okay, what is your most unbelievable goals, in all the domains? Like, start writing them down. And he says, like, don't think that what is possible, what is not possible. Just like if God came down and said, what do you want? Like, literally just start writing those down, because what you think is possible or not possible, that's like, you will realize a couple of years down the line that anything is possible.
Right.
So I said, okay. So I calculated that what is the most unbelievable thing that I wanted? And it was acting. I wanted to go act. I wanted to go make movies, and that was my dream. So how do you do that? So you train with the best people in the world. I realized I would have to spend a couple of years training. So I calculated that if I get out of debt, and if I make something to the tune of $3 million, okay, then what I could do is I could take that money, just quit gambling, go to either Los Angeles or New York, and use that money to support my lifestyle, support my family, and hire the best acting coaches in the world to teach me acting, filmmaking, those skills for the next 4 or 5 years. And then I anticipated another maybe couple of years as the struggle period to break into the industry. And my plan was to break into the industry by 40. So that was a 10-year path that I thought I could do. So I needed enough money to last for those 10 years, assuming I would not be working. I would just be training in acting and filmmaking. And then if all else fails, if I fail by the age of 40, which was a scenario, then I need some money to fall back on so that then I could go do something else. So the figure that I decided was $3 million. I said, if I have $3 million, I can go pursue my dream of acting. And so I wrote that figure down, with a date, and I said like 3 million, and it was like the most unbelievable goal, and it's not even possible, and I wrote down within 3 years I will get to this number.
Oh.
And if I get to this number, then I will quit everything and I will go make films and learn acting. And I actually hit that number in like 2.5 years.
Wow.
And I was like, man, this is crazy. Now I have to quit everything and go to Los Angeles. And
Right.
It was scary, and I didn't want to go because all my friends are here and my family is here, and I was like, what do I do? So I called a Hollywood agent. She was a top shot agent. I booked a call with her. It was $300 an hour. And I asked her, like, this is what I'm going through, and I have enough money now to support my quest. And what should I do? And she said, 1 second, Jim.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm on a call. I'm on a call. Can we please do this later?
Like what time?
Like after 1 hour or so?
1 hour?
Yes.
Or if you want to call, but I don't know really.
I'm on a call. Please, can I talk later? Thank you. Hello. Yes, Jim.
Yes.
So I spoke to this agent, and she said, you don't have to come to LA to learn. I will connect you to an acting coach that will teach you whatever you need to learn on Zoom calls. And he will give you books to read. He will give you exercises, and you can start learning where you are and then start making short films. And as you get better in your short films, you can make the move a couple of years down the line. So you don't have to come to New York or LA to learn from the best in the world. Now the best in the world are teaching on Zoom. So I said, okay, this sounds good.
Mhm.
So I started training in acting, in script writing, and I started writing a script about the 11 years that I spent in the world of gambling, and I wrote a script about it. I thought I'll try to turn that into a TV show or a film or something like that. So I wrote a script, I showed it to a few people. It was good. It has a lot of stuff which I've wrote down pretty honestly. So like I don't know if I'll be able to release it ever. I'm still thinking about it, but I did write it. So the process of writing really taught me a lot. And even till today, when I make videos, I can articulate myself well because I spent this time writing this one script. And it's amazing when you start writing, you just keep getting better with every page, with every line, and it's amazing. But acting, it I started getting bored of it, Jim. Like a couple of months down the line, I was like, I thought I wanted to do this, but this feels very limited.
Hmm.
And I was more drawn to business and ambition, um, money. Honestly, I just want to make a lot of money. And
Right.
I've tried to answer that question, why? Because I don't want to buy the expensive cars, or the lifestyle that I want, I already have it. So why do I want money? And I realized that what I want really is impact and influence. So I want to impact a lot of people. I want to make a dent in the world with the beliefs that I have. And there's a lot of beliefs that I have that a lot of people don't agree with, but I would still, push my thinking and my worldview, onto people. For example, I think everyone should be free from alcohol and smoking. And that's one of the things that I would like I'd want to inspire the world to do. Just, stop drinking, stop smoking, start working out. And I think it can change anyone's life. And that's one of the things that is a part of my message. And there's many things like that I want to spread. I want to help young guys, um, and show them the path to make a lot of money, to look good, how to communicate powerfully. There's a lot of skills that I want to teach through my YouTube channel,
Hmm.
and I'll do that. And the second thing I want is influence. I want to be able to um, be in the influence of some of the most powerful minds of our time. So I would really like to be friends with Elon Musk. I would like to be friends with Richard Branson. I would like to be friends with prime ministers, presidents. I would like to have that kind of influence. And one way to get there is money. And it's a pretty good way. If you have enough money, then you can get to these people. You can have access to these people. Because when you make money, you become that kind of person. You almost become a part of their peer group. And I think that's worth pursuing.
Have you found that those people that you have engaged in poker games are some of the very wealthy people? Do you find that they're just normal people, or do you feel, or do they find themselves that they're substantially above? Or how would you position the way that they present themselves to the outside world?
They are normal people, yes, Jim. They definitely are. They have their own struggles. They have their own things to deal with. They're definitely mortal. They get old and they get wrinkles, and they get sick and all that. So in many ways, they are just like us, but they are different in very subtle ways. And mostly that's mindsets. They think about things differently. They think about money differently. They think about work differently. They think about relationships differently. They are disciplined. They have certain principles, rules that they follow, and they use them as anchors. And they have strong communities. They have strong social circles, and they don't easily associate with anyone. Um, and they surround themselves with driven people. They push each other, and there's just so many things that they do different. It's subtle differences, but I would not say that they are same. They're like from another planet, but at the same time they're just like us. So I guess what I'm saying is that yes, anyone could become like that, but to like what that is very different from the average person. That's for sure.
For sure. And is it your beliefs then that by having money to develop connectivity to certain elevated individuals, that can help essentially position you into some of their networks, which can allow you to broaden your base of your communications and your desire to work with and help younger people and help those that have substance problems, substance abuse problems, that you can just really broaden your net much more rapidly?
Yes, Jim. I don't think I'm qualified to give hope to people who are really deep into substance abuse problems, because I haven't been there. So I can't relate to them. There are other experts much better than me that can help those people. But I know the places that I have been in, and that is being a young guy who has ambition, who wants to do things, and not knowing how to do things, and then getting entangled in things like alcohol and gambling and smoking and a little bit of drugs. I didn't go very deep into drugs, but a little bit of drugs. And most guys are in the places that I have been in. There are some people that are really deep into it, and I don't think I can help those. But most guys that are young and that don't know what to do, I think I could show them the way. And that is what I want to. I want to bridge the gap. Basically, Elon Musk seems so unbelievable to people. So some of my friends, someone could look at them, their house and their lifestyle and be like, this is so unbelievable. This is not even possible for me to do. So I just want to bridge that gap of, it really is possible. So I'm right now kind of right in the middle of, that guy that doesn't have any money, that can't afford a phone or a laptop. I've been that guy. And then I know the guy that is worth like a couple of billion, or something. I know so many guys that are worth a couple of $100 million, which is also like extremely wealthy. And I'm that guy right in the middle that can see the path to hundreds of millions or a billion, and then a guy that has nothing. So I just want to bridge that gap. As I make my way to the billion, I want to bring in more people with me, and show them the way.
Excellent.
And that's what I think I will do through my YouTube channel.
Yes. Have you begun your YouTube channel yet? Is that?
I have, yes, I have. I have posted about 3 interviews. I will definitely post this one. So I would like you to send me the file. So, whenever you post it, I'll let you post it first, and then I will post it on my channel as well, because I think we did a fabulous job talking about many topics. I think you did a fabulous job asking me the right questions, poking me in the right spots to get the thing out of me. So I think people could get value from this. But I want to shoot, thousands of conversations like this so that people can watch them and get inspired and take action in the right direction, because really life is limitless and you could really do whatever you want. Especially a young guy. A lot of young people have the mindset like, like I wasn't born in the right family, or I don't have the right circumstances, or this or that. And I would encourage those people to read a book called How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. And Felix Dennis is a guy who founded the Maxim magazine. He owned a lot of other magazines as well. And he was worth about $700-800 million by the time he died. And he said that a lot of young guys look at me and be like, this guy moves around in a Rolls-Royce Phantom and he has all these, houses and resources and all that. And how can I ever be like this guy? And then they just give up. Felix Dennis said, if I could trade, what do you think I would give to go back to 20 and just be like with nothing? And the answer is, I would give back everything. Every single penny I have, I would give back just to go back 10 years. Forget about going back to 20. So what the 20-year-old is not realizing is that he has the biggest resource in the world, which is time.
Yes.
He has the time. If you have the time, and especially now with the internet, you don't even need to go and seek out teachers or answers. Like Google is your answer. Literally, you can start typing on Google every question that you have in your mind, and you will find the resources. If you don't have money to buy books, you can literally download books for free. Just go on Google and start typing like how to get this book for free, and there will be someone somewhere on the internet which would have posted that book somewhere for free, and you can get that book for free and start learning about how to make your life better. And yeah, young guys really underestimate how much, like how rich they are. They're actually the richest people in the world because they have so much time.
You have the time. So with one of your given desires and then abilities that you achieved, it was to make money. And then as you move into this circle of YouTubing and all the other social media and doing podcasting, how's your vision or is your vision to work to monetize this to a small degree or a very substantial degree for the benefit of you and your organization?
Yes. So I do have some ideas on how to monetize this. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start an online university to teach young men real life skills. So there are skills that I learned on the field, living my life, that they didn't teach us in school and that they really should have taught us. Skills like money management, skills like what Elliot taught me about mental game, about how to deal with stressful situations, things like that. Skills like money mindsets, how should you think about money? Skills like nutrition and diet. Almost everyone gets fat in today's world. I see you've taken care of yourself, Jim. You're not fat. I am not fat, but that was not the case with me always. I was fat at various points in my life, and then I had to learn how to eat right, how to work out, and I think it's a very valuable skill that people don't know about. Then how to get out of addictions once you find yourself in them. If you drink and if you can't stop drinking, and if you're looking for a drink every weekend or even every evening, then that might be slowing you down in life, and how to get out of that. And many skills like that, skills like marketing, advertising, skills like dating. A lot of the guys and girls, they are not dating at their level. They just settle for whoever they can find, and that's it. And I would like to change that. I've learned from Owen Cook, who's a world-class dating expert, and he teaches you how to go for really high status people that you deserve in your life, and how to keep the relationship engaging and intriguing and exciting. And nobody teaches you that in schools or universities.
Right.
And a lot of people just settle for whatever they can have, and that's not right. So I'm going to build a university that will teach young men and women, hopefully, the skills that they need to live a powerful life. That is going to be one way of monetizing these platforms. But again, this is not going to be my main business. This is in some ways my way to give back to the world, because I got so much from this world, and I figured out so many things out of so much pain and suffering, that I would really like other people not to go through the suffering that I went through. So mostly all the money that I will make from these ventures or from this online university, I'll most likely just pump it back into the channels, into the social media. I'll just get a bigger team and a bigger budget, and I'll just do fancier videos, and I'll just keep pumping the money back into the system. That is one way of monetizing. The second way of monetizing is I want to start a clothing brand, Jim. The name of the brand I've decided is going to be Infinity, which stands for being limitless. So I want to start a brand called I Am Infinity, and I will design clothing which will instill the principles that I will be teaching. Principles related to money, principles related to life, nutrition, discipline, and I will design clothes that will be limited edition, extremely premium, the kind of quality that Hermes has, for example, or some of the really premium brands like Xenia or something like that. I will get the people working for these companies, I will get them on board with me, start designing clothes at that level with the most exquisite, exclusive material in the world. I've already hired a branding company to do the branding and designing for those clothes. And I want people that want to live a powerful life to have a brand of clothing that they can wear that symbolizes that I am infinity, I am limitless, and I can do anything that I want. And then I will put quotations and things and symbols on those clothing, so that when they wear it and they look at themselves every day in the mirror, they it's a reminder to them that I am infinity and I can do whatever I want. And that would be one way to monetize it. But I look at it as giving power to the world. And I will do my part in empowering the young men and women to live a powerful life. That's my goal.
A tremendous goal, Shakti. It's stimulating those that aren't even familiar with you yet. Their time is coming.